Ahoy friends, welcome to Building the Alpha Dory. I'm Dan and this is a project to build a 1890s era racing dory in the style of William Chamberlain of Marblehead. We're building from the line set in John Gardner's The Dory book, illustrations by Sam Manning. So tonight we're hoping to get the scarves cut in the Garboard, in one of the Garboard planks at least, and maybe get that plank glued up so that we can hopefully put it on the boat sometime tomorrow. Anyway, we'll see what happens, and yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so here we have the aft section of the Garboard plank laid out on the, just up on the bench. And what we're going to do is find the bevel and the cut for the scarf joint. So let's see. The sheet of plywood is slightly curved, you can see, in this direction. So we'll use that, plan on using that curvature in our favor. And so that will mean that this sheet of plywood will be a port side sheet. And we'll see if, we may not be able to use all the sheets with the curvature in our favor. It's not a big deal. But let's start out with that, and then we'll see how, because depending on how we've cut them, it's kind of going to determine how we can use them anyway. So, all right, so the bevel side is going to be down, which is this side. This is going to be towards the bottom of the boat, and the straight side is going to be towards the rail, the gunnel of the boat. We know that's the stern, and we're making a plank, like I said, for the, did I say port side? For the starboard side. And so now we've got to decide whether we want the scarf joint, whether we want the long end on the inside of this plank or whether we want the long end on the outside. And I'm thinking we probably want the long end on the inside of this plank. So that'll give us the longest run on the outside for the short pieces. So this is a long piece here. So if we have the scarf joint to the outside, that'll give us the full 4 feet of width on the scarf joint on those center sections. So let me so first thing we'll need to do, since we want the long side on the inside, that's going to be this surface. So we're not going to be touching this surface for the scarf. So I'll flip this over on the bench. Just started raining out. I'll flip this over on the bench. Alright. So now, what I'll do is gotta figure out how big of a scarf I want to cut. So the board is the board that we're scarfing is a 1/2 inch thick. The plywood is a 1/2 inch thick. So that is one dimension of the scarf, which is determined for us beforehand. It's 1/2 inch. So now we got to determine how long we want the scarf angle to go back. Now the typical rule of thumb on a scarf, if you're scarfing say a mast or something, is a minimum of 1 to 8. So if you had a 1 inch thick spar, which is quite thin, then you'd have 8 inches of taper in the scarf minimum. Some people say on a spar go to 12. Like I've never had a problem going with 8, so whatever about that. But so that's what I was told. So we've got a 1/2 inch. We've got 1/2 inch of thickness here. So 1 to 8 would be a 4 inch scarf. Now I don't really want to lose 8 inches of length on this board. I measured what I think is going to be the length of this board on the boat this morning from the transom. The highest point on the transom that this board is going to come to, which is right around 12 inches. And then the highest point on the stem that this board is going to come to, which is right around 15 inches. And that length was right around 19 feet, give or take a bit, depending on how much overlap we have on the stem. You'll see how we're going to finish the planking on the stem. There's a little bit of pass by on the stem. So 4 inch scarf in 2 spots on this board means that we're losing 8 inches to the length. And the length right now is 8 plus 8 plus 4, which is 20. So we'd be at 19 feet 4 inches, which is kind of in the danger zone as far as the length we need. It would probably work, but these scarves will be fine. These planking scarves will be fine with a 3 inch instead of a 4 inch. So we'll save 2 inches there, which is going to put us. The final length of the plank will be 19 foot 6 inches. So we'll have a little bit of wiggle room. I actually think the measurement was closer to 19 foot 2 inches on the frames, but like I say, it's kind of a little bit too tight for my liking. So that's what I'm thinking we're going to do. Make sure that I've got the square edge here. Oh yeah, there we go. Great. Okay, so gonna set the square at set the carpenter's square at 3 inches. And I'll make a line along this I'll make a line along the plank at 3 inches. And that's where we'll cut our scarf to. Now with the square still set, I'll mark 3 inches on the next on the middle piece, and I'm marking that on the slight bow to the piece of wood. So I'm marking that on the inside, on the concave surface of the bow, and that'll help this plank bow into the shape it wants, because it's going to be bowed on the boat. So it's nice to put the bend in the direction that it's going to be. And then we decide we're going to do the long feather edge on the outside. On both ends of this both ends of this board. And the final piece will be one of the 15ers. And let's see. Okay, so here's the square edge of the 15. Alright, so here's the square edge, so that means, and it's slightly bowed in this direction. So that means I got it right side up here. So we'll be bevel on this side. Alright, so the next thing we can do is we can set up these pieces that need to be cut. So that they are nice and square to each other, parallel or whatever. Aligning the edges, these top straight edges. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring each board up so that the next board we're going to be cutting is right to the line. So I'm lining up, I'm stacking them so that each board is right to the line. And that will that'll let us run down here with a plane and just make basically a big flat surface, and we'll make all those cuts all at once. So I'll go grab a couple clamps, clamp these boards together, and we'll get ready to start cutting wood. So I'm putting this little bevel on the edges here so that I won't get quite as much split out in that direction when I'm going across the grain. ends of the plywood to kind of check my progress along the face of the scarf. So if the glue line's further ahead like it is over here, then I'll go a little bit more over there and that'll move the glue line back to get in line with the rest of them. Yeah, the thing with planing plywood is pretty much no matter which direction you're going to be going across the grain to some degree. So you need a nice sharp plane. And it's also always good to kind of angle the plane as it goes across the So then what I'll do is I'll finish this up with the low angle block plane, which is a little bit more of a finesse piece when it comes to cutting across the grain. You can see how I'm trimming it down so that those glue lines are really starting to kind of equalize, so that I know I've got a fairly smooth bevel that I'm cutting there. And it's, just a matter of keeping at it. What you'll find out is that when it comes to the pine planking, we'll be kind of hogging off a bunch of material with the adze before we go into the hand planing. But that's that's done on a rough cut 1-inch board. These are already a 1/2 inch. So there's not a whole lot to hog off on these. So it's better just to start in with the hand plane from the beginning. Getting a little bit of slippage here on the top board. The other two boards are supported by this little block that goes to the stud on the wall here. You can see this lower board is supporting the feather edge of this upper board, so I'm able to get a good edge on it. And what I'll do is I'll take this one down really close. I'll leave this one a little thick on the edge, and then we'll swap it out for this one here, and we'll do that one. Alright, so this 4-footer looks like it's quite close. Let me go back to the low angle. Really smooth it up. Nice flat cut all the way along so that these faces will meet up pretty seamlessly. Get it much better than that. Sometimes it's just best to quit while you're ahead. Okay, so like I said, I'll take this 4-foot section that was on top. Flip it around to do the